My name is Aiden Seabrook and my partner is Savi Fistein, and we are doing a project on David Farragut and the impact of miscommunications throughout our history. Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead.
Okay, pause. There are many miscommunications throughout history, and this is a prime example of a major miscommunication still believed to this day. Let's start at the beginning. James Farragut was born July 5th, 1801 in Stony Point, Tennessee. James later changed his name to David in honor of his patron, David Porter. His town also changed its name to Farragut in honor of the now David Farragut. He later joined the Navy as a midshipman in December 1810 at the young age of 9.
Despite my young age of 9, my first battle was the War of 1812. I went to war under the orders of my adoptive father.
After the Battle of 1812, David Farragut took part in the anti-piracy operation on the Caribbean Sea. In 1823, David Farragut married Susan Caroline Merchant at the young age of 22. Soon after, David Farragut served in the Mexican-American War. Susan Caroline Merchant died on December 28, 1840. Farragut later remarried Virginia Loyal Dorcas on December 26, 1843. Less than a year later, Farragut had his first and only child, named Loyal Farragut, on October 12, 1844. Subsequent to the war, Farragut oversaw the construction of the Mare Island Naval Shipyard, the first naval base established on the Pacific Ocean.
To Mrs. D.G. Farragut, Hastings on the Hudson, New York. My dearest wife, I write and leave this letter for you. I am going into Mobile Bay in the morning. If God is my leader, as I hope he is, and in him I place my trust, if he thinks it is the proper place for me to die, I am ready to submit to his will, and that as all other things. My great mortification is that my vessels, the ironclads, were not ready to have gone in yesterday. The army landed last night and are in full view of us this morning, and the Tecumseh has not yet arrived from Pensacola. God bless and preserve you, my darling and my dear boy, if anything should happen to me. And may his blessings also rest upon your dear mother and all your sisters and their children. Your devoted and affectionate husband, who never for one moment forgot his love, duty, or fidelity. To you, his devoted and best of wives. Very truly yours, S. D.G. Farragut.
The Battle of Mobile Bay took place during the summer of 1864, when the blockade of Confederate ports was at its zenith. The objective of the battle was to take control of Mobile Bay. The particular reason for this circumstance is due to it being a major Confederate port. David Farragut was stationed at the Mobile Bay battle on August 5, 1864. He was tasked with closing the port. He used a Navy-Army strategy which involved landing 1,500 soldiers on Dauphin Island. Those were the soldiers that later seized Fort Morgan's and Fort Gaines.
I was able to oversee the battle on my ship, the USS Hartford. I had stationed the larger ironclads to act as shields for the smaller ironclads, which also allowed for one of the ships to be towed if it became crippled.
As the ships were sailing through the narrow channel, the USS Tecumseh struck a torpedo and sank almost instantaneously. Now cautious, the Union generals brought their ships to a halt. This is where allegedly David Farragut bellowed,
"Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead!"
This is where skepticism takes place on the legitimacy of this quote, supposedly spoken by Farragut. This quote was first seen in a book published in 1878. However, both Navy sailors and Army troops report never hearing David say such a phrase or any variation. The possibility of the origin of this misquote could be from Farragut's plan for when seizing the forts. Farragut planned to take his 18-ship fleet and rush the Confederate troops. He believed that despite his small fleet, he could easily overtake the Confederate troops as well as the forts. As he believed, he was able to win against the Confederate troops and navigate the torpedo field. His risky plan was not backed by any of the other Union generals. However, he went through with it despite the objections and was able to turn the battle in the Union's favor.
At the start of the battle, the Confederates believed that they had a leg up on me. However, I was quickly able to neutralize their forces, where they then retreated, blowing up the fort as they fled.
Directly after defeating the Confederate troops, Farragut and Gordon Granger directed their attacks to Fort Gaines and Fort Morgan. On August 8th, 9 a.m., Fort Gaines surrendered.
General Richard Page, the commanding officer of Fort Morgan, said he would not surrender, even if it cost him his life. He said he would only surrender if he believed that they had lost all forms of defenses. However, the following day, Fort Morgan also surrendered, to them finally believing they had lost their defenses. The Union took 1,400 prisoners and 100 pieces of artillery. After successfully seizing control of the forts, mobile supplies were cut off, and on March 24th of the following year, the Confederates evacuated Mobile. At this point, the war ended, with Farragut playing a huge role at the end of the war.
During the battle, he wrote to his wife,
To Mrs. D.G. Farragut, Hastings on the Hudson, New York. My dearest wife, we are now in the Bay of Mobile, and will try to compel the forts guarding its entrance to surrender, after which we will be ready for home. As ordered, we had 14 vessels and 4 ironclads. The ironclads had the inside or starboard side position. They were to engage the rebel ironclads. The Gulf into Mobile Bay covered more than 500 infernal machines destined to destroy our noble vessels. By their books and papers, we know they counted on blowing us to pieces, but the torpedoes was and never will be looked upon as a cowardly contrivance to get clear of a fair and open fight. The Admiral had intended to lead in the fleet, but as the broken Captain Aiden had a torpedo cutter on her bow and had 4 guns that she could train ahead, by persuasion he gained permission to lead. Your devoted and affectionate husband, who never for one moment forgot his love, duty, or fidelity. To you, his devoted and best of wives. Very truly yours, S. D.G. Farragut.
The infamous quote said by David Farragut about the torpedoes is used in current day by the United States Navy and Coast Guard as a form of inspiration for their sailors. The quote in current time is a popular idiom, meaning to press on with a task or current course of action, regardless of apparent risks or dangers.
In reality, I never said damn the torpedoes full speed ahead. However, this distorted version of my words struck incentive and motivation to the hearts of millions. The effect this quote has had on others is not something that can be easily ignored. Some people believe full-heartedly that this quote is factual to what I said on that day, and others simply believe in the meaning of my twisted words. The United States Navy and the United States Coast Guard have used this quote for many years to influence their sailors to go above and beyond in battle, and if my words, whether true to what was said on that fateful day or not, can drive others to better themselves, then that's something I can be proud of.
David Farragut died August 14, 1870, only 16 years after the Battle of Mobile Bay. The cause of death was a heart attack at the age of 69 in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Farragut's impact on this world will never be forgotten, even if the most impactful thing thought to be said by him was never actually spoken. However, another famous quote that was actually said by Farragut was,
"The best defense is a well-directed fire from your own gun."
We have dedicated this project to David Farragut as a way to immortalize him as more than just his words, but as a person. Farragut served a huge role in the Civil War and dedicated his life to this country and its people. David Farragut may have grown up in the South surrounded by racist behavior. However, he deemed this wrong and redeemed himself by fighting for the freedom of slaves. We should not remember him by what he has or has not said, but what he did with his life.